It was called the Sydney Harbour Monster, a piece of Danish pastry, a disintegrating circus tent. At first count, it was the cheapest of the prize-winning designs, 3.5 million Australian pounds. They began collecting in 1957, and 2 years later, in spite of a £100,000 gift from the government, they had not yet raised £500,000 in donations. They launched the Opera House Lottery with the first prize of £100,000 and tickets at £3 each. And Sydneyites, being what they are, as soon as the Opera House was something you could place a bet on, its money troubles were over. They've been queuing up to pay for the Opera House in their thousands ever since. Last year, the Opera House Lottery raised £8 million. But money was the littlest of the Opera House troubles. Right from the beginning, the house was full of trouble. At last, in 1958, they found the site was neither big enough nor strong enough to carry that structure that seemed on paper light enough to fly away. The whole site had to be reinforced by concrete piers, 550 of them, each 3 feet in diameter, driven right down to bedrock 70 feet below the surface of the water. They had to change their ideas first about materials. At one time, the idea was for a roof of steel coated with concrete, until somebody thought about the noise, and somebody else thought about the climate. Apparently, with that design, the Opera House stars would have been singing above the sirens of the tugboats on the water outside, and the temperature variations would have caused the metal and concrete to rumble and crack like tropical thunder. So the roof had to be redesigned in reinforced concrete. This meant the concrete pillars already built were no longer strong enough, and they had to be demolished and built again. Those great arching shells of Utsen's design, the highest of them rising to 179 feet, no doubt looked mightily impressive on paper. By 1962, the cost had risen to £12.5 million. And now everybody admitted they were only guessing. The opening day was postponed and postponed again. It had been planned for Australia Day, 1963. It was put off until early 1964, then until sometime in 1966, and now no one is bold enough even to predict the year the doors may eventually open. The frustrations have led not only to political strife. The workers on site have grown bitchy too. Last July, it was reported that during the previous 12 months, there had been 350 stoppages, almost one a day. 57,000 man-hours had been lost, including 4,000 to acquire better showers and lavatories. In Sydney, comments have become even sourer. One correspondent complained lately that the unfinished Opera House was mouldering on like the bones of a vast prehistoric animal.
I think the people of Sydney and the people of Australia are really proud of what we are attempting here in this very great building. Costs have risen, both labour and material, and problems have developed in the construction because this is a completely unorthodox building, no precedent, no experience to guide the contractor, and he has to more or less plan as he goes along, particularly in the superstructure.
At one time, the Sydneyites made jokes about their Opera House. They wrote comic songs about it, sailing away up the harbour on the first decent wind. Not anymore. The harbour on the first decent wind. Not anymore. They defend it now with the kind of passion with which a mother protects an idiot child. The gamblers of Sydney have paid £17.5 million for it. They'll be paying more. And at that price, it's beyond a joke.